The James Harden drama is getting out of hand, and it is putting the 76ers in a terrible position. He claims that Daryl Morey, the president of the Sixers basketball operations, is a liar and refuses to play for a team run by him. We have a lot to talk about in this video and in the future with this situation, so subscribe so you don't miss any of it. The Harden drama with the Sixers has been going on ever since they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics when James Harden failed to perform again under the big stage. Around a month ago, the Sixers point guard requested a trade after picking up his $35.6 million option to play in the 2023 season. The Sixers seemed to have been working with Harden on getting a deal done, but nothing ever happened with that. It seemed like the Clippers were big on acquiring Harden, but not enough to get a deal done. A couple days ago, it was announced that trade talks between the Sixers and Clippers have been ended completely, meaning Harden would have to play for the Sixers this season, which was just fuel to the fire. As a lot of you may know, James Harden has been overseas in China recently enjoying himself. At one of the events he attended in China, Harden said, and I quote, "Daryl Morey is a liar and I will never be a part of an organization that he is a part of." Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. This obviously got the NBA world buzzing as Harden publicly came out and said that he will not be playing for the Sixers as they are the team run by Daryl Morey. The reason Harden is calling Morey a liar is because of how his contract situation was handled. Harden claims that Daryl Morey promised him a large contract extension after taking a pay cut last season. With Harden not getting his extension, he seemed pretty adamant that Morey lied to him and blames this whole situation on him. This has put the Sixers in an awful situation and not an easy one to get out of. If the Sixers don't find and work out a trade for Harden, then he's not going to play for them, similar to what Ben Simmons was doing a couple years ago, and they won't get anything out of it while also losing a starting player. Before we get into how the Sixers can resolve this issue, let's dive into a little bit more on James Harden. Harden has always been a good player in the NBA, even winning MVP back in 2018 when he was on the Rockets. But he is also a very problematic player. He requested a trade from the Rockets after having issues there to go to a super team with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on the Nets. You would think that this would stop the issues, but it didn't. Harden had problems with the Nets organization as well and would have requested a trade out of Brooklyn, which led him to being traded to the 76ers. The Sixers had 2 years with Harden and both years they lost in the second round. After this, Harden requested a trade out of Philadelphia. In my opinion, Harden is the problem. I understand him asking a trade out of Houston as they were ready to start rebuilding, but when he couldn't win with a super team with the Nets and a very solid team in the Sixers, I think he might be the real issue. James Harden is not a winning player. He is simply a loser that only cares about his personal achievements. With all the great teams he has been on, he has only made it to the NBA Finals once, and that was over a decade ago with the Thunder, which they lost in 5 games. A lot of people like to take Harden's side and say that he is a great player and is getting unfair treatment after all the great things he does. I understand that Harden is a great player, but he is not a team player. He thinks that he is royalty in the NBA and deserves to be treated like a king. It's like he is poison to whatever team he goes to. There were problems with the Nets, and now there are problems with the Sixers. I just can't stand this situation, and I don't see how anybody wants James Harden on the Sixers after all of this and the last couple seasons. There is not much the 76ers can do to get themselves out of this one. The first option would be to try and work out a trade for James Harden. The fact is, Harden is not going to play for the Sixers as long as Daryl Morey is around, so you need to get him off the team and try to get something in return. There might be a team out there desperate enough to go after Harden, but that is looking highly unlikely at this point in the offseason. The next option would be to fire Daryl Morey. Doing this allows James Harden to play for the Sixers without having Morey at the head of things. I would like them to fire Morey, but I would also like them to get rid of James Harden anyway because of how bad he is for the Sixers internally, but hey, maybe things would be different for him if Daryl Morey was gone. The Sixers have their back up against the wall, and they are running out of options. James Harden seems to have all the leverage in this situation. Nothing seems to be looking positive for the Sixers. I will try and keep all of you updated as much as possible on the James Harden situation. Like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all things Philly sports. If you just subscribed, leave a comment and I will reply thanking you for the support. Also let me know what videos you want to see in the future and I'll catch you guys in the next video.